What's up, Star Wars fans? This is Darth Watts here, and in this video we're going to be going over The Mandalorian Season 4. I just want to do an update with you guys about The Mandalorian Season 4. I do want to take a break from talking about Ahsoka because I've been doing a lot of content lately for the past few weeks, and it's been literally nothing but Ahsoka. I've only maybe done like one or two videos talking about Skeleton Crew, but I've been doing mainly a lot about Ahsoka, and I just want to take a break and talk about something else in Star Wars. So I do want to update you guys on The Mandalorian Season 4. Is that it's still happening from what I hear. The Mandalorian Season 4 will not be a Star Wars movie. I think Bespin Bulletin was a little bit misled on that one. Like some of the legitimate sources like Making Star Wars and Bespin Bulletin. Because at first they said that The Mandalorian Season 4 could turn into a Star Wars movie. Although that was a rumor in Lucasfilm, but it wasn't 100% confirmed that it is going to happen. It's probably not going to happen. Due to The Mandalorian's success and The Mandalorian doing the best out of all the live-action Star Wars. I know Bob Iger stated that he wants to make less Star Wars movies less Star Wars shows and more Star Wars movies. He wants more Star Wars movies, but he also said that in the future, due to budget reasons, that there will be less movies and shows. But Bob Iger has also stated that he wants more Star Wars movies and movies out and less shows in the past as well. So, he's been pushing, ever since Bob Iger came in, he's been pushing Lucasfilm to get out a Star Wars movie. And we got the Charmin Obaid-Chinoy plus the Mandalorian crossover, and then the James Mangold, which takes place 25,000 years before the events of the Skywalker saga, before the Old Republic, which is pretty interesting. But Dave Filoni's Star Wars movie is going to take place during the New Republic, and it'll tie in with the Mandalorian, Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka. It'll tie in with the Mandalorian and all of its spin-offs with Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, and the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. It'll tie all of those together, and it will tie all of those series together in the Star Wars film that will be coming out with Dave Filoni's Star Wars movie, The Mandalorian crossover. And not only that, like the Mandalorian crossover will probably be will do much more than tie all those together. It's been leaked that the Dave Filoni Star Wars movie is going to be called Heir to the Empire. There's been a lot of leaks about that, and I believe Thrawn will be successful at the end of the Ahsoka series, although I do want to take a break from talking about Ahsoka in this video, because I've been doing a lot of content talking mainly about Ahsoka and The Mandalorian Season 4. My prediction for The Mandalorian Season 4 is that we will see Moff Gideon again. I don't believe Moff Gideon is actually dead. I believe Moff Gideon survived, and I don't think Moff Gideon was killed that easily. Especially with the cloning facilities on Mandalore. And there's a highly likely chance that that was just a clone of Moff Gideon that died. So it's pretty much to prove Moff Gideon's intelligence to outsmart the entire galaxy into thinking that Moff Gideon is actually dead when he wasn't. And I believe that Moff Gideon now, like at first I didn't believe it, but now I believe that Moff Gideon was working for Thrawn and the entire Shadow Council. I thought it would be something bigger than Thrawn, like the early stages of the First Order, but it turns out that, yeah, maybe he is working for the early stages of the First Order, the Shadow Council, but he's also working for Thrawn as well. I believe he's working for Thrawn as well. And I think The Mandalorian Season 4, there's been talks about, because of the strikes at Lucasfilm, that Mandalorian Season 4 may be the last season of The Mandalorian. I mean, The Mandalorian may only continue for one more season. Skeleton Crew, I know, is getting a second season now because there's been confirmation about Skeleton Crew Season 1 leaving us on a cliffhanger, which demands for Season 2, but I don't think Skeleton Crew will probably get much bigger than 2 seasons. But like I said earlier in the video, Bob Iger is trying to, with Lucasfilm and Marvel and Star Wars, they're trying to do less shows and more Star Wars movies, because when they've been doing nothing but shows, live action shows and animated shows, like especially if they're doing 5 Star Wars shows a year, that's kind of draining the company money, and it's costing them more money than they're making off of these shows. That's why they're eliminating some, like, basically cutting back, like not entirely eliminating Star Wars shows, but cutting it short and focusing more on Star Wars movies, because when the Star Wars movies, the sequel trilogy films came out, plus the 2 standalone films, even though Solo lost money, they still made a lot more money then than they are now with having 5 Star Wars shows out a year. So that's why when Bob Iger stepped in, he's been pushing Marvel and Star Wars to get more films out and not do so many shows at a time, which I think that's Lucasfilm's big mistake, is that they were having 5 new Star Wars shows a year. That was probably a big mistake, and they could have slowed it down a little bit, and they could have been more focused on Star Wars movies earlier. But anyways, the topic is about Mandalorian Season 4. I know I've gone a lot off topic in this video because there's some other stuff I had to talk about, but the Mandalorian Season 4 is still happening. It's probably not going to be a Star Wars movie due to its success, and even though there was a lot of strikes at Lucasfilm, Mandalorian Season 4 will still likely be a live action show for Star Wars for at least another season, and then they can determine whether there can be after that they can determine whether it should continue or just end at Season 4 for The Mandalorian. But anyways, that's all I have to say for this video. Do make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and I will catch you all later in another video.